Here we are, life story part two. So, excuse me, hair in my mouth. Um, if you haven't watched the insanely long video, and I don't expect you to, holy crap. I tried to figure out how to edit it, but I'm not there yet, and I've got too much on my plate to take the time at the moment. So, I'd seriously, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, I'd go back and watch like the last 10, 15 minutes. It'll bring you up to date as to how we get here. So, the next story I'm going to tell is it was really a turning point in my life. I had just had this huge experience and not sure I wanted to die so much, but I still didn't really care if, if I lived or died, let's put it that way. So, but I think I was going to head home. I was going to come back to Washington State and a friend of mine got in an accident. He got in a horrible motorcycle accident, and he was a bartender, didn't have insurance, so and had road rash all the way down to the bone in his leg. It was nasty. And he didn't have anybody to take care of him or look out for him, so I volunteered and in exchange he would send me home when, he was up and about. And I thought that was fair. So I went to Huntington Beach and I stayed and I took care of my friend. And he had asked me if I did speed. Now, up until this point, to me, speed was like crosstops and, you know, just amphetamines. I had not had any experience with methamphetamines at this point. Really, lots of cocaine, lots of pot. Hadn't done acid yet. No heroin, nothing like that. So pretty much cocaine and weed were my drugs. And so he got me some methamphetamine and I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I ended up taking care of my friend and I ended up dating his dealer, which ended up being a really big deal. There were three major drug dealers living in the house and we went through ounces a day. One of the girls would go and sell at the bar. My another girl that lived there uh, would make deliveries, and then me and my friend would. We basically sat down. If anybody showed up at the house, we'd go and pick up, and we'd weigh and package. So that's what I did. And yeah, excuse me. And then we would have after hours parties at our house, and it was a lot of fun. And they made sure I ate, and I can't say it was a bad time. And actually, you know what? I have found that I miss that connection. When I was in the whole drug scene and everything, the drugs were fun and everything, but the fact of the matter is that I felt comfortable being myself. I would sit and read literature while everybody's getting high, and I had this group of people surrounding me, listening to me read stories to them. And it was fun. I had a great time. This lasted for a couple of months. My friend got better. I was deep into the drugs. I ended up getting arrested. And when I got out, uh, it turns out the house had been busted. They thought I had narked them off. I didn't, but it is what it is. And I took off with this other group of people. And I was kind of stuck because my car got stolen while I was in jail, and I was on my way. Oh my God, I was headed back up. We were just, when I got arrested, I had parts of my car to do repairs on my car so I could head back up to Washington with no worries. And just didn't happen. So I was with these other people, and we were getting more drugs. And we were at a hotel room, and I witnessed one of the men shooting the other. And I was the only witness to this shooting in the hotel room. And I ran. I ran again. I ran as far and as fast as I could go. When I felt I was far enough away at that moment, I called my mom and I told her that if she didn't get me a bus ticket home like right now, that I would be dead within a week. And I believed that, and I still believe that with every ounce of my being. These were not people to mess with. It was not a happy situation. I did not, when I went into something, I did not go small. Mm-mm. So, so my mom did. She heard me. She got on the bus, and she called in for a ticket, and I was at the bus station or on the bus home within 24 hours, less than that. Instead of going to my mom's house, I ended up going to my ex-husband's house. It was still mine. We weren't divorced yet, and I was terrified. I was in fear of my life. I found out at that moment I didn't want to die as much as I thought I did. So, so, so I went back to my ex-husband and I told him, I'm just here and don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't nothing, nothing. Pretend I don't even exist. And he honored my wishes at that moment. And 2 weeks after I got home, a woman who had just moved up from California, her and her family were shot dead in broad daylight, um, within 30 miles of my house. And I believe then, and I believe to this day, that that woman and her family was supposed to be me. And I felt such an insane amount of guilt. And it occurred to me that when I was shoved back in my body after trying to kill myself, they didn't mean I wasn't going to be allowed to commit suicide. They meant that I wasn't going to be allowed to die. Holy crap, what the hell? So this woman and her family, they died in my place, and I didn't even know how to live with myself. It was so crazy. Uh, I felt such guilt and such remorse and horror, and somehow I had to find it within me to not only survive this, but to make it so this woman's life was not in vain. And I spent the next 6 months in solid meditation. I did not leave my house. Um, I meditated a couple hours in the morning. I meditated a couple hours in the afternoon. It was all I could do. I just meditated and wrote it out and meditated and wrote it out and meditated and wrote it out for 6 whole months. And then something amazing happened at the end of that 6 months. It was, I don't know, it was like there was a decision to be made. And I decided I was okay. I had sorted through everything I thought was wrong with me. And at the end of the day, I made mistakes, yeah. And there was absolutely nothing I could do about it, right? So I was okay. I was okay just the way I am. And it was such a, I can't even begin to describe the feeling. It is just, it was like I had come home. It was like I had this bubble around me, and nothing in the world could get through this bubble unless I allowed it in. And I lived for 3 years in this beautiful state of grace. And, you know, it used to be when I would look back on that time, I would thought that nothing bad ever happened, but that's not true. Horrible things happened. I mean, I fell in love with my first real in my first healthy relationship ever. Um, and it fell apart. He broke up with me. It was really crazy. I was as together as I'd ever been in my whole life, and this man dropped me for a drug addict, and I thought that was just ironic. So, so uh, I kind of went off in my life again, and I ended up down in Arizona and having a good time. And shit happens. It just happens. But it doesn't have to own you. I think that is like this thing. It doesn't have to own you. You don't have to beat yourself up for a mistake, one mistake, or 10 mistakes, or 100 mistakes for your entire life. It's not a life sentence. It's just the moment. And okay, suck it up and move on. So I had this happiness, and it was constant, and it was a choice. And when I was down in Arizona, I had met a woman and we would talk and stuff. And she's sitting there going, "So I want you to start doing workshops and seminars and maybe write a book. And I think you really need to tell people about how to have this happiness." And I got scared. I got so really scared. What did I know? All I knew at that point was that I had been brutalized for a decade. When I sat down and meditated for 6 months, not everybody can sit down and meditate for 6 months. That's just not reasonable. I didn't even know, what am I going to say to these people? Yeah, go out and get brutalized and then sit for 6 months and you'll come out of it happy. And my other thing was, it's just a choice. It's just a choice. It's a choice I make every moment of every day. It's just a choice. I can either be in these bad feelings or I can choose to let go of the bad feelings and feel wonderful. And it's so much more worthwhile to feel wonderful. But, in this fear, I had decided that I just didn't know enough. And I had never had a normal life. I didn't know what an average person would need to do or go through in order to make this choice. And so I fell back in. I fell back into the madness of the world. I got myself put on massive psychiatric medication because I'll tell you what, once you're in this place, once you have this within yourself, it is not easy to let it go. It doesn't just go because you have a bad day. You know, this inner guidance system, this thing, this cosmic consciousness, this beautiful connection with the all that is not easy to get rid of. But enough psychiatric meds can do it. So so I did that and I came back to Washington and started living a normal life. And I am at 16 minutes now, and I am going to cut it off. So there is that little story, and we will pick up again another day. And we will go through the normal life. And it, you know, it's been good. I've learned things. But now, but now that I've learned my things, I've been told it's time to be happy again and it's time to share because I learned what I needed to know. So happy day to you and thank you all for watching. And once we finish with this story, I can get on to the good shit and start sharing how to make this beautiful choice. Have a wonderful day and blessings to you all.